Hello, welcome back to Fire Horizons Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain. So last time we left off, we failed miserably at getting our constitutional reforms passed. And as you can see, our economy is kind of circling the drain here, and yeah, things are not going good for President Rain right now. So let's see what happens next year. Alright, at Whole Sword, meeting on the results of the assembly votes. Lucian, Pater, and I met in my office and decided to move out onto the balcony to get some fresh air in the increasing summer heat. They both looked uncomfortable in their suits. Pater was trying not to make eye contact and kept letting out depressing sighs. He wiped the sweat off his forehead with a handkerchief. What do we do now? All our plans for nothing.
Yes, the USP leadership is beginning to target us as well. Not to mention targeting Sol himself.
Yeah, what the hell is that all about? Sol appearing out of nowhere. He came to the assembly to make a statement, and it worked.
I'm sorry that we failed to gather the necessary intelligence about his arrival. Something went wrong on the security ports. I still don't know what. It was partly our fault.
Yes, we apologize. I learned it from Serge. How come my driver knows more than you?
In a situation such as this, I would have expected Carl to report it to me, but you're right, sir. We should have done our own research.
How did Serge know anyway? He said he overheard some people talking about it around the assembly.
It seems some of our respected MPs already knew about this.
He didn't see who they were, did he? I don't know if he said who they were or not. So, it doesn't matter now, does it? I guess not.
In any case, I will conduct proper investigations into this. We should know every hidden old guard member who's working with Sol. Meanwhile, we will be organizing a cabinet meeting to discuss our present and future state of affairs. I will also try and test the waters with our MPs. We can't let the party slip out of our grasp.
The party has to learn to respect me. Tarkin Sol is not their leader anymore.
Don't worry, sir. We'll address the party soon enough and put them in the proper place.
Lucian looked at his watch.
I think it's time to conclude our little meeting, sir.
There was a tap on my shoulder. Livia Suno had joined us on the balcony. Pardon the interruption, gentlemen. Mr. President, dear Vichy's are calling about the upcoming foreign policy meeting. Perfect timing. Tell them I'll be right there. I will, sir. She turned to leave the balcony, then back to us. My condolences on the vote results, Mr. Rain, Pater. She looked Pater in the eyes as she said this, and ignored Lucian altogether. Pater's eyes followed her as she walked out. Oh, getting pretty hot out here. Oh, God, I need a drink. I can help with that, if you want. After I'm finished with the arrangements, of course. Not today, Pater. Please focus on your duties for now. Yeah, of course.
All right, gentlemen. See you later.
They both left. Nice, okay, so looks like we just have these two exclamation points here. So we have an invitation to a movie premiere in Erlery. Or a Rumberg whistleblower. Well, let's just stick to Whole Sword. Take a look at this note here. USP meeting criticizes president. In yesterday's internal USP meeting, a large group of party members voiced their disappointment in the failed constitutional vote in the assembly. Lilias Groff criticized President Rain for pursuing change without in-depth research and proper communication between the party members, blaming the president and the vice president for the failures. I mean, there's probably plenty of communication there, but they all wanted some sketchy backroom deals, and I was not willing to do that. I realize I'm supposed to be a politician, so I probably should be a corrupt douchebag, but that's okay. We're trying here. Alright, so Rumberg whistleblower arrives. A high-level agent has escaped from Rumberg and seeks refuge in Swordland. Well, that sounds cool. Whistleblower from the Rumberg Security Bureau has escaped to Swordland by crossing the border and turned himself into the authorities in Estord. Agent Chelston Hailstone has promised to reveal extremely sensitive information about the development of a weapons program. We can give him refuge and risk antagonizing Rumberg or send him back. Yeah, let's grant him asylum. Okay. And whistleblower in safe house. After receiving Agent Chelston Hailstone, we've secretly transferred him to a safe house near Ontel. Perimeter is guarded by Special Forces units to ensure no escape or rescue attempts can be conducted by Rumberg Intelligence. The agent is currently being interrogated thoroughly to make sure that the preliminary information provided is accurate. Nice. Alright, we got a newspaper, then we'll head over to the movie premiere. So, from Geopolitico. Swordland accepts whistleblower. Who is Chelston Hailstone and what does he know? That's the question of the day, as President Rain has agreed to grant refuge to this rogue national security agent from Rumberg. After escaping to Swordland, Hailstone promised to reveal sensitive government information in exchange for asylum. Whether Rain's decision will be worth the anger and possible retaliation from the Rumberg government remains to be seen. Alright, why does everybody know that this dude exists? It's some pretty terrible government security there. But, whatever. Seems like a really terrible government anyway, so that's fine. Alright, so to a movie premiere in Erlery. I have been invited to an exclusive preview of Alfred Sherbuck's new film, The Morning Shall Come. Although I wasn't in much movie-going mood, it would have been unpresidential not to attend. With its massive budget and Sherbuck's directorial cachet, this drama was set to be a milestone for Swordland's burgeoning film scene. Personally, though, I was just looking forward to spending some time with my family. It was a very hot and sunny day as Serge drove us to the old capital. The film was to be screened in the historic Cinéma Anglais de Erlery, the very first cinema in Swordland. Serge maxed up the air conditioning to keep the Kadia comfortable. I kept silent through most of our ride on the H1. I couldn't get my mind off the results of the assembly vote. Frank fidgeted with his tie as he stared out the window. What's wrong, Frank? Since when do you care what's happening in my life? You know I'll support you whether you pass or fail those exams. What an honor, Your Highness. Frank, don't talk to your father that way. He's been working so hard for this country. Don't make me angry, Frank. Frank turned his head away to look outside the window. I turned to Diana. Excited for the movie? Diana nodded happily. What about you, Papa? I know you're sad, but failure helps us grow, right? Exactly. Now, where did you learn that? Diana giggled. From you. Now, no more politics talk, isn't that right, Monica? Of course. Let's just focus on having a nice time at the movies. Monica folded her arms. We drove on in silence. Serge rolled down the soundproof glass between us. Sir, we are about to enter Erlery. We'll be at the cinema in a few minutes. Ah, thank you, Serge. I took a brief look outside as Serge rolled the soundproof glass up again. I could see the many towers of Erlery rising over what was left of the old city walls. In the distance, there were several planes flying towards the city. As they got closer to us, I saw that they were military planes that looked like Arcasian designs. They were probably headed for our new joint military base. Serge knocked on the glass and gestured forwards. We were at the main square of Erlery, and the historic Cinéma Anglais, the Cinema of Angels, was right in front of us. Is this the place? Yeah. It's an old Baroque-style corner building with walls that look like marble from a distance. There were exquisite ornaments on each side of every window. Serge pulled the car to the entrance of the building, which was lit by vivid neon stripes in many colors. Come on, let's get out. Serge opened the doors, and we exited onto the red carpet. We were just about to enter the building when a journalist managed to block the path. Yeah, Mr. President! Mr. President! How are you handling the defeat of your constitutional reforms in the Assembly? I'm going to keep fighting for my changes. This isn't over yet. Thank you, Mr. President. And were you aware that Tarkin Soul will be present at the meetings? I refused to discuss Colonel Soul at the time. Before she could ask anything else, the guards ushered us inside the theater. Contrast with cinema's Baroque-style exterior, the inside was modern and sleek, with bare walls painted in black, red, and white. The film's cast and crew were already in the foyer, with glasses of champagne in their hands. We approached the crowd and were welcomed by the producers and the event organizers. A man walked up to us with quick steps. "Madam, Mr. President, it's so good to see you here." He gently bowed at Monica and shook our hands. "It's an honor to meet you. I'm Alfred Sherbuck." The honor is mine, Mr. Sherbuck. I'm a big fan of your work." "Never heard of you, but it's okay." Frank snorted. I glanced at him and innocently took a sip of his cola. "It's very humbling to know that you've been watching and enjoying my movies. If you don't mind me asking, which one was your favorite? This one may be slightly different from my previous works." We're just gonna go with this one. I love The Man Who Saved the World. He stared at me for a while as if he was trying to understand if I was joking or not. "That's by Miko Vargas, Mr. President. Beat my film The Source Dream for the top prize at the Benfey Festival last year." Whoopsie doodle. Frank looked me in the eye and struggled not to laugh. "Why don't we take our seats? It's about to start." We entered the screening room, the lights dimmed, and the film began. It was a period drama set in the 1870s about a Swedish soldier who pursues a doomed romance with a widowed Bludish farmer during the conquest of Bergia. As the credits rolled, I made an early exit to use the men's room. I was washing my hands when I heard an unmistakable voice behind me.
"So, what did you think?"
Tarquin Sol leaned on his cane. He had the same frail appearance I'd noticed at the assembly meeting, yet up close I could still sense the raw magnetism that had kept him in power for 20 years. "I'm happy the plight of the Bludish might finally get the attention it deserves."
"Be careful where you extend your sympathies, President Rain."
"What the hell were you doing at the assembly vote, Mr. Sol?"
"My country is about to make a rash decision. I couldn't simply sit by."
"It's not your country anymore."
"No?"
There's a glint in his eye. "A true president knows when he must step down."
"A lesson you'd be wise to learn yourself. I will not let you and that bleeding heart idiot rector tarnish my precious constitution."
"You tarnished it enough for the both of us already."
"Ha!"
Some of his spittle landed on my cheek.
"As if you, Anton Rain, are above it all. As if you're capable of remaining president without getting your hands dirty."
"I'm no saint, but I am trying to act for the good of the country."
"You'll find out soon enough how your country repays you for your goodness."
He slipped past me and out the door. Sol security staff and mine were now clustered outside the washroom, forming a buffer against the large crowd that had gathered. "Oh, that's Tarquin Sol," I heard someone scream. His guards closed around him, and mine around me. By the time the chaos subsided, I was back in the car with my family, and Sol was long gone. Fantastic. Jeez, alright, and 7 newspaper articles. I guess let's get cracking here. Alright, from the Whole Sword Post. Rain and Sol meet at Sherbuck screening. The recent exclusive screening of Alfred Sherbuck's new film, The Morning Shall Come, was attended by an unexpected guest, former President Tarquin Sol, rarely seen outside of his home on Douro Island since his 1949 resignation. Current President Anton Rain was also in attendance, and the two men were seen together. And I honestly kind of forgot we did this. New law on the Swedish language vetoed. The Unified Language Act has been vetoed by President Rain after the approval of the Grand National Assembly by majority vote on Thursday, following a 3-hour debate. Casaro Keebner, who campaigned heavily for the bill, criticized President Rain for his decision to veto the act, saying it contained much vital new rules that would have unified Swedish education and protected the integrity of Swedish language and identity. Or it was just some super racist nationalist nonsense. Alright. So, Swordland today. Rain to keep fighting for reforms following Assembly defeat. Despite the Grand National Assembly voting down his planned constitutional reforms, President Anton Rain declared he would keep fighting for the changes he had proposed. Speaking outside the historic Cinema Anglais in Erlery ahead of an exclusive preview of Alfred Sherbuck's new film, Rain did not provide any details as to how he would challenge the Assembly's final decision, merely stating, "This isn't over yet." And from the Lockhaven Times, peaceful protests. Waves of protesters are pouring out into the streets in the country, asking for the rights of citizens of Swordland. Such demonstrations are a result of piled-up resentment over past budget decisions, bills, and reforms. Fortunately, it seems that the situation is not as bad since they remain mostly peaceful. And one film, two very special guests. An exclusive screening of Alfred Sherbuck's new film, The Morning Shall Come, made a splash, but not for the content of the creative drama itself. Instead, the film was overshadowed by the two political figures in attendance. President Anton Rain, who made the trip from Holsword with his family, and former President Tarkin Sol, barely seen on the mainland since 1949. It is rumored the two of them spoke in the washroom following the film. Alright, and two more here from the Radical, just probably going to be awkward. Washroom Summit. What are Rain and Sol hiding? At a screening of Alfred Sherbuck's overblown sob story, The Morning Shall Come, President Anton Rain and former President Tarkin Sol were seen exiting the men's room together. While an illicit assignation, I don't know, is not out of the question, it is far more likely the two inveterate politicians were making backroom deals about which the Swordish public, as usual, would be kept in the dark. The Radical is committed to getting to the bottom of this meeting and will keep readers updated as the facts emerge. Alright, apparently backroom deals include a crotchety old man yelling at me, so that's fine. Yeah. And Rain vetoes racist language bill. It's the least he could have done. Anton Rain struck down a proposal from the NFP's Casaro Keebner that would have made Swordish the only language allowed in this country's educational institutions, with rare individual exceptions to be granted by the Ministry of Education. Presented as a measure to promote integration and unity, the bill was a slap in the face of Swordland's Bluish population and other non-Swordish speakers, not to mention outright denial of the diversity that makes this country what it is. Keebner must not be happy about this, but we are. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. This terrible racist bill. Alright. So, we got 2 exclamation points again. Well, let's see what they are. Alright. Dinner with the family and briefing on the diplomatic strategy. Or ceremonial duty for the Day of Dissension. Yeah, let's get the religious nonsense out of the way. Morning haze surrounded the city of Dyer as the sun dawned on the Day of Dissension, the holiest day of the nerdy religion. It celebrated the first message received from God by St. Dost and his 30 disciples. As per tradition, the celebration was held inside the arch sanctuary of Das Trinity, closed to the public eye. This year, however, for the first time ever, it was going to be televised. That doesn't sound sketchy at all. You can't even have your religious ceremonies open to the public. Totally not sketchy. That was Lucian's idea. As he saw it, granting the people a rare glimpse of the grand ceremony and showing them how seriously the president took this holy event would ease any tensions that lingered in the region. And so we arrived at the largest cathedral in Swordland. A huge crowd gathered around our convoy as our car pulled up to the entrance.
This will work out well. Trust me, sir. Of course, that's only if the prayer is done completely correctly. Please don't forget the order. First, you'll need to grasp the holy scepter with your left hand, then touch your altar with your right. Kneel before the archpriest and wait for him to put the sword on your shoulder. Then touch the sword with the hand you touch the altar with, hand the scepter over to the archpriest and receive the sword before passing it on to a disciple.
This is some complicated, convoluted nonsense, jeez.
Be straightforward, isn't it?
No, I just said it's complicated nonsense. It's just yeah, sure.
Very good. You'll have to go first. I will come inside later and we'll meet up after your part is done. Good luck, sir.
Exit the car. Ah, man, I hope I can remember that, because that is some stupid nonsense. I exited the car, and I was greeted by a chorus of cheers and camera flashes. I waved to the people as I made my way to the grand gates. The arch sanctuary was a sight to see. With its towering visage, it cast a shadow over a large portion of the city. I had to crane my neck to see the narrow spires at the top. Just standing next to it made me feel awe and dread in equal measure. As I reached the gates, I spotted my welcoming committee. The archpriest and his disciples were waiting for my arrival. At my approach, they all bowed their heads in respect. The archpriest gave me an infectious smile as he straightened back up. Tall and handsome, in his mid-50s, he's one of the youngest and most popular archpriests in history. Some of his more avid followers even liken him to Saint Dast. Mr. President, praise God. It is a blessing to see you on a most holy day again. Welcome, welcome. Archpriest. The crowd was still cheering loudly. The archpriest turned and raised both of his hands, and everyone immediately fell silent. Oh, great people of Sordon, once again we are gathered here to honor the day of dissension. I am indescribably happy to be sharing this moment with you, as well as every blood and soul, old and young, tuning in to their television to watch this holy commemoration. Along with the leader of our great nation, I say, let the holy day begin. Stay far from evil, O sons and daughters, for evil hides itself under many disguises. Disguises such as blasphemy, apostasy, and even alcohol. Be good, my children. Praise God. Praise Sordon. Wow, what a sanctimonious douchebag. He smiled, beatifically as the crowd burst into rapturous applause. After it subsided, he turned to me. Shall we move inside for your confession? Yeah, let's do a photo op. Gotta make the optics look good here. I pulled the archpriest aside for a photo. Many flashbulbs burned my eyes at the same time. I heard whistles, claps, and cheers from the crowd. Most excellent. He led me through the main hall, which had a stratospheric ceiling and nourished icons lining the walls. We walked up a creeping spiral staircase to the top floor and finally arrived in front of the confession chamber. Right this way. He gestured toward a chair in the dark room. The room smelled of old mahogany and scented candles. The archpriest proceeded to light each and every one of the candles, one for each virtue and vice. I'll be right with you. He left the room. A minute later, I heard the sound of a sliding window right next to me. He spoke with a very soft voice. Anton Rain, speak. Speak and confess now before the one God. May he repent your sins on the most holy day of dissension. I confess that I'm not sure what I'm doing for Sordon is enough. You do carry a heavy burden on your shoulders. What you have confessed is not a sin, but you may share your burden with me if you like. I'm trying to reform the country, but I don't know if the country is ready for that yet. Reformation is one of the tenets of nobility, yet it must come slowly but surely. Anything else you'd like to confess? Nah, bro, that's all for today. Before God, I thank you for sharing. Not telling this douchebag anything. You are now forgiven before God, Anton Rain. May you never sin again. The sliding window closed, and the archpriest entered the confession chamber. For the confession to end, you must extinguish the candles representing each one of your virtues and vices. With this, the once burning sins connected to you are now smoke and then nothing. One by one, I extinguished the candles. Well done, Mr. President. Let's move on to my quarters before the ceremony. He led me through the 1,000-year-old corridors to his office. The smell of dust and old tomes was in the air, along with the scent of burning incense being prepared for the ceremony. Well then, please have a seat. The one chair next to him looked like it might turn to dust at a single touch. I sat down gingerly. It was surprisingly sturdy. Are you ready for the ceremony? Yes, let's just get on with it. Patience is a virtue, Mr. President. He leaned back in his chair comfortably. I wanted to talk to you about something. I realize it has been months since the Benfey Festival, but this is my first chance to bring it up with you. It's about the actions of the First Lady. As you know, the festival is a holy event. Letting a woman make the opening speech did not sit well with us. We share the same concerns as Miss Celeste. Right, okay, so the arts festival is a religious thing. That totally makes sense. Although the church getting pissed off that women are, trying to actually be people, that totally makes sense. A woman's place is beside her family, not giving public speeches and revealing dresses. Certainly not insulting the important traditions behind such an event. Disgust was apparent on his face. Yeah, of course it is. Of course, we cannot ask you to do anything about it. She is your wife. But I just wanted to voice our disapproval of the situation. A woman presiding over such an important religious event? What have we become? It's a friggin' arts festival, you goddamn creeper. Jeez. I let her do the speech because people like you still exist in Swordland. His face soured and he did not reply. He looked me up and down for a moment. A couple of knocks were heard on the door and a young boy came in. He bowed before the archpriest, then me, before letting us know the ceremony was about to begin. We made our way downstairs where the ceremony was already in progress. The choir sang angelically as the archpriest took his position beside the altar. When they finished their hymn, an expectant silence fell over the room. It was time for my part. I started my walk, bowed, and approached the altar. Okay. Trying to remember how this goes. I think grab the scepter with your left hand. I grab the scepter with my left hand, then touch the altar with my right. Oh, jeez. I would assume we kneel. Scepter in hand, I knelt before the archpriest. The archpriest laid the sword on my shoulder. Okay, and I remember I had to touch it with the opposite hand, but I don't remember. Would have to be the right hand. If we're holding the scepter in our left, we gotta touch it with our right hand. I touch the sword with my right hand. And then, I guess, give the scepter to the archpriest? I don't know why he'd give it to his disciples. I handed the scepter to the archpriest and waited for him to give me the sword. The archpriest handed me the sword. I don't remember this one at all. I don't think we want to give it back. Not know how to put it on the altar, so I'm gonna hope we're supposed to give it to Disciple? I got up and proceeded to my designated spot next to Lucian. He leaned over and whispered in my ear.
Compared to last year, that went surprisingly well, sir.
My eyes met the archpriest's, and he very slightly nodded. Oh, sweet. I think I didn't screw it up. The ceremony went on for another hour and a half. Ugh, jeez. Finally, the noon bells chimed, marking the end of the cathedral service. We left the cathedral to greet the waiting crowd. As I stepped outside, I heard everyone cheering and chanting my name. Lucian's gambit seemed to have been a success. We waved proudly for a minute or two.
See, sir, I told you it'd work.
We entered our cars and drove back to our suites in Tyre. That was awful. Alright. A news report from the Lockhaven Times here. President attends the Day of Dissension. As part of the grand ceremony, the Day of Dissension has begun with the festivities in Tyre. President Rain was in attendance along with His Holiness Archbishop, who together performed the sacred ritual. The momentous occasion was celebrated by everyone, regardless of their rank and status. Swordland has once again felt unity amidst chaos to come together, forgot their differences, and celebrated the Word of God. Huzzah. Cool, alright, so... got 2 things here. I got enough time to do one more, so let's go have dinner with our family. I arrived home from work, hung my jacket up, and put my briefcase in the hall. I paused, waiting my usual greeting from my wife and daughter. Gianna was out at one of her after-school art classes, I remembered, but where was Monica? From the living room, I heard a muffled sob. I entered to find Monica sitting on the sofa, a letter in her hands, a look of despair on her face. Darling, what's wrong? Monica briefly rested her head on my shoulder, then handed me the letter. It's from the Department of Education. Frank's university exam results are in. And how did he do? See for yourself. I looked at the page. Below Frank's name and address, his score was written. 435 points out of a total of 1,000. Wow, nice job, kid. At the bottom of the letter, the word failed was stamped in red. All those years of effort, all those private lessons, all down the drain. Maybe it'll be good for him to learn from his mistakes. This isn't just about Frank, you know. Him failing would reflect badly on you, on us. I just don't understand. Frank's a smart boy. Why would he sabotage himself like this? I heard a key turning in the front door. Frank stomped in and was about to go straight upstairs when we noticed us both in the living room. Mom? Dad? What's going on? Have a seat, Frank. He took a seat across from us and I handed him the letter. He started reading it. Ah, shit. Son, we're not angry at you. I need a moment. He went to the kitchen sink and washed his face. A moment later, he came back. I never thought this would happen. I'm so sorry. It's not the end of the world. Pretty close, though, isn't it? Frank looked close to tears. Monica put her hand on his shoulder. It's gonna be okay, but you really should have studied harder, Frank. Yeah, I know. So, what am I supposed to do now? Well, there's always military school, but you're the president's son. You still have options. Yes. Monica surprised me with her enthusiasm. If Alfonso could get his dimwit son into Kingsley University, I'm sure Hillsword State would have room for a bright boy like you, Frank. I am a respected alumnus, it's true. Hillsword State would be amazing. A bunch of my friends are going there. I could still come home and do my laundry. Now, you know, that's fine. That's fine. We'll go and spend our money on that. Terrific. Hillsword State it is then, though it is going to cost us a little bit extra due to the privatization changes. Thanks so much, Dad. I swear I won't let you down this time. Monica let out a long exhale. Oh, well, what a day. Who's hungry for dinner? Monica disappeared to the kitchen, Frank to his room. I went to my office and began making some phone calls. Personal wealth decreased. Fantastic. Awesome. Alright, well, that's about all the time I've got for today, so I'll go and end it here. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time.